A single Mercury dime can look like pocket change, but in the hidden world of rare coins, it can hold a secret worth more than gold. From 1925 to 1942, these silver dimes carry mystery, history, and shocking value that collectors fight for. One rare detail can turn cents into thousands. Imagine holding a coin that could silently change your entire future in a single moment without warning. First up, the 1942 Mercury dime is one of those coins that quietly holds incredible mystery and value, but not always in the way viral claims suggest. At first glance, it may look like just another small silver coin, but collectors know that under the right conditions, this dime can carry serious worth. However, becoming a $1 million coin overnight is extremely rare and depends on very specific factors like condition, rarity, and mint errors, not just the date alone. This coin belongs to the Mercury dime series, officially known as the Winged Liberty Head dime. It was designed by Adolf A. Weinman, and the image on the front is often mistaken for the Roman god Mercury because of the winged cap. In reality, it represents liberty, symbolizing freedom of thought. By 1942, this design was already well known and widely circulated across the United States. The year 1942 is particularly interesting because it sits right in the middle of World War II. During this time, the U.S. economy was shifting and metals like silver were extremely important. The Mercury dime was still made of 90% silver, which alone gives it intrinsic value beyond its face value. Even worn examples today are worth more than 10 cents simply because of their silver content. Now, here's where things start getting exciting. Not all 1942 Mercury dimes are equal. There are different mint marks: Philadelphia, no mark; Denver D, and San Francisco S. While millions were produced, only a small fraction remain in high-grade condition today. Coins that have been preserved with sharp details, no scratches, and original shine can command much higher prices. One of the most talked-about variations is the 1942-41 overdate error. This is where the coin was struck with a die that accidentally shows traces of both 1941 and 1942. These error coins are extremely rare and highly sought after by collectors. If you happen to find one of these in excellent condition, you're not just holding a coin, you're holding a piece of minting history that can be worth thousands of dollars. Condition is everything in coin collecting. A heavily worn 1942 Mercury dime might be worth only a few dollars, while an uncirculated one with full bands on the fasces, the bundle of rods on the back, can sell for hundreds or even thousands. Full bands means the horizontal lines on the fasces are completely visible and sharply defined, which is a sign of a strong strike and minimal wear. Let's be clear about one thing: claims of these coins being worth millions are often exaggerated. While some rare coins have indeed sold for extraordinary amounts, a standard 1942 Mercury dime reaching millions would require a perfect storm of rarity, condition, and historical significance. It's not impossible, but it's far from common. Still, the emotional value and excitement of finding one can feel priceless. Imagine checking your old coin jar or a family collection and discovering a well-preserved Mercury dime. That moment alone can spark curiosity, passion, and even a new hobby in coin collecting. Many collectors started exactly this way. Another factor that adds value is grading. Professional grading services evaluate coins and assign them a grade based on their condition. A coin graded MS-65 or higher, mint state, is considered in excellent condition and can fetch significantly higher prices in the market. Without proper grading, it's hard to truly know what your coin is worth. The historical background also plays a role. Coins from the early 1940s connect directly to a world at war, economic change, and a different era of American life. Holding a 1942 Mercury dime is like holding a small piece of that history in your hand, which adds to its collectible appeal. It's also important to understand market demand. Coin values are not fixed. They change depending on how many collectors are looking for a particular coin at a given time. If demand rises, prices go up. If interest drops, values can decrease. This is why some coins suddenly become hot in the market. You should also be cautious about selling. Many people unknowingly sell valuable coins at low prices because they don't realize what they have. If you ever find a 1942 Mercury dime that looks unusually sharp or different, it's worth getting it checked by an expert before making any decisions. At the same time, not every old coin is a hidden treasure. It's easy to get caught up in the idea of instant wealth, but real coin collecting is about patience, knowledge, and careful evaluation. The thrill comes from learning and discovering, not just the price tag. In the end, the 1942 Mercury dime is a fascinating coin with real value, both financially and historically. While it may not turn you into a billionaire overnight, it can definitely be worth far more than its face value if you understand what to look for. And sometimes that small silver coin in your hand might just surprise you more than you ever expected. Second up, the 1928 Mercury dime is one of those coins that can instantly spark excitement, curiosity, and even dreams of hidden fortune. At first glance, it looks like a small, ordinary silver coin, but in the right condition, this tiny piece of history can carry surprising value. Many people imagine finding such a coin and becoming rich overnight, but the real story is deeper, more fascinating, and built on rarity, condition, and collector demand rather than just hype. This coin is part of the famous Mercury dime series, officially called the Winged Liberty Head dime. It was designed by Adolf A. Weinman, and the front shows Liberty wearing a winged cap, symbolizing freedom of thought. Over time, people started calling it Mercury because it resembles the Roman god, but the meaning behind it is much more powerful. It represents liberty, intelligence, and progress. In 1928, these dimes were minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each version has a different level of rarity. The Philadelphia coin had a much larger production, while the Denver and San Francisco versions were produced in smaller numbers, making them more desirable to collectors today. This difference alone can dramatically change the value of the coin. What makes the 1928 Mercury dime truly interesting is its silver content. The coin is made of 90% silver, which means even a worn-out piece still carries intrinsic value based on metal alone. Even in poor condition, these coins are worth several dollars simply because of their silver content, far above their original face value of 10 cents. Coin steady, but the real magic begins when you look at condition. A heavily circulated 1928 dime might be worth only a few dollars, but as the condition improves, the value rises sharply. Coins that are well preserved with clear details and minimal wear can be worth tens, hundreds, or even thousands of dollars depending on how perfect they are. USA Coin Book. Now imagine a coin that looks almost brand new, even after nearly a century. These are called uncirculated coins, and they are highly prized. A top-quality 1928 Mercury dime in near-perfect condition can reach values in the thousands, especially if it has sharp details and strong visual appeal. In rare top-grade cases, prices can climb dramatically into 5-figure territory. Price charting. One of the most important features collectors look for is something called full bands. On the back of the coin, there is a fasces, a bundle of rods tied together, and the horizontal bands across it must be clearly visible and separated. If those bands are sharp and fully defined, the coin becomes significantly more valuable because it shows a strong, high-quality strike. The Denver minted 1928 D-dime is especially famous among collectors. It had a lower mintage compared to Philadelphia, making it harder to find in excellent condition. High-grade versions of this coin can reach impressive values, especially when combined with full bands and professional grading. Coin trackers. However, it's important to understand the reality behind the million-dollar coin idea. While some rare coins in history have sold for huge amounts, a standard 1928 Mercury dime reaching millions is extremely unlikely. Even the highest known values for this year typically stay in the thousands or tens of thousands, not millions. Gray sheet. Still, the emotional excitement of discovering one is very real. Imagine going through old coins at home and finding a shiny 1928 Mercury dime. That moment can feel like uncovering treasure, and for many collectors, that feeling is just as valuable as the money itself. It's not just about profit, it's about discovery and connection to history. The market for coins is always changing. Prices depend on how many collectors are looking for a specific coin at a given time. If demand increases, the value rises. If fewer collectors are interested, prices can drop. This dynamic nature makes coin collecting both exciting and unpredictable. Another important factor is professional grading. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, and even a small difference in grade can mean a huge difference in value. A coin graded MS65 or higher is considered very high quality, and collectors are willing to pay premium prices for such pieces. You also need to be careful when selling. Many people unknowingly sell valuable coins for very low prices because they don't realize what they have. If you ever find a 1928 Mercury dime that looks unusually clean, shiny, or detailed, it's always smart to get it checked by an expert before selling it. At the same time, not every 1928 dime is a hidden jackpot. Some coins are common and heavily worn, and their value will remain modest. The real difference comes from rarity, condition, and unique features, not just age. Understanding this can save you from unrealistic expectations. In the end, the 1928 Mercury dime is a powerful example of how a small coin can carry big stories and surprising value. It may not turn you into a billionaire overnight, but in the right condition, it can absolutely be worth far more than you expect. And sometimes the real treasure is not just the money, it's the thrill of holding a piece of history that has survived nearly 100 years. Third up, the 1939 Mercury dime is one of those coins that can instantly make people imagine hidden treasure and life-changing wealth, but the reality is both exciting and grounded in truth. This small silver coin may look ordinary at first glance, yet under the right conditions, it can carry serious value. The idea of becoming a millionaire overnight from a single coin is powerful, but in the real world, that level of value depends on extremely rare combinations of condition, rarity, and collector demand. This coin belongs to the famous Mercury dime series, officially known as the Winged Liberty Head dime. It was designed by Adolf A. Weinman, and the design shows Liberty wearing a winged cap, symbolizing freedom of thought. Many people confuse it with the Roman god Mercury, which is how it got its popular nickname, but the deeper meaning is about independence and intellectual freedom. By 1939, the Mercury dime was already a well-established coin in circulation across the United States. Millions of these coins were produced that year at different mints, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Because of this relatively high production, most 1939 dimes are not extremely rare. But that doesn't mean they are not valuable, especially when found in exceptional condition. The silver content of the 1939 Mercury dime is one of its strongest foundations of value. Made of 90% silver, the coin already holds intrinsic worth regardless of condition. Even heavily worn coins are worth more than face value simply because of the silver. This gives every 1939 dime a baseline value that protects it from ever being completely worthless. Where things become truly interesting is when you look at condition. A worn 1939 Mercury dime might only be worth a few dollars, but as the quality improves, the value increases dramatically. Coins that still show sharp details, minimal scratches, and original luster can jump into much higher price ranges, especially when collectors compete for top-quality examples. One of the most important features that collectors look for is known as full bands. On the reverse side of the coin, there is a fasces, a bundle of rods tied together, and if the horizontal bands across it are fully visible and sharply struck, the coin becomes far more valuable. This small detail can turn an ordinary-looking coin into a premium collectible. The 1939D and 1939S versions of the Mercury dime are particularly interesting because they were minted in smaller numbers compared to Philadelphia. While they are not extremely rare, finding them in high-grade condition with full bands is much more difficult. That combination of scarcity and quality is what drives serious collector interest. Now let's address the biggest claim, the idea of this coin being worth millions. In reality, a standard 1939 Mercury dime does not reach million-dollar values under normal circumstances. Even the finest known examples typically sell for thousands or, in rare top-tier cases, tens of thousands of dollars. The million-dollar coin narrative usually comes from misunderstandings or extremely rare coins from entirely different categories. However, that does not mean the coin is not powerful. For someone who finds a high-grade 1939 Mercury dime, the value can still be surprising and meaningful. The difference between a common coin and a premium one often comes down to tiny details that only trained eyes notice, which is why knowledge in coin collecting is so important. Grading plays a huge role in determining value. Professional grading services assign a score from 1 to 70, and coins graded in the mint state range, especially MS-65 and above, can command much higher prices. A small increase in grade can sometimes mean a big jump in value, which makes preservation incredibly important. Another factor that adds to the appeal of the 1939 Mercury dime is its historical context. This coin was circulating just before the world entered a major global conflict, and it represents a time of economic recovery and uncertainty. Holding one today is like holding a silent witness to history, which adds emotional and collectible value beyond money. The market for coins is always changing. Prices are influenced by collector demand, availability, and trends. Sometimes a coin becomes more popular and its value rises quickly. Other times, the market slows down. This dynamic nature makes coin collecting both exciting and unpredictable at the same time. It's also very important to be careful when selling such coins. Many people unknowingly sell valuable coins at low prices because they don't fully understand what they have. If you ever come across a 1939 Mercury dime that looks unusually clean, detailed, or different, it's always wise to have it evaluated by an expert before making any decision. At the same time, it's important to stay realistic. Not every old coin is a hidden fortune, and not every 1939 Mercury dime will bring huge money. The real value comes from understanding the details: mint, mark, condition, strike quality, and rarity. Without these factors, the coin remains modest in value. In the end, the 1939 Mercury dime is a fascinating blend of history, artistry, and potential value. While it may not turn you into a billionaire overnight, it can still hold impressive worth if it meets the right conditions. More importantly, it connects you to a past era, and sometimes that connection is just as valuable as the price it can bring in today's market. Fourth up, the 1931 Mercury dime is one of those coins that instantly fuels the imagination. People hear the date, picture old silver, and start dreaming about life-changing wealth. That excitement is understandable because under the right conditions, this small coin can carry real value. But the idea of instantly becoming a billionaire from a single coin needs to be grounded in reality. True high value comes from rarity, condition, and collector demand, not just the year printed on the coin. This coin is part of the famous Mercury dime series, officially known as the Winged Liberty Head dime. It was designed by Adolf A. Weinman, and the portrait shows Liberty wearing a winged cap, symbolizing freedom of thought. Over time, many people began calling it Mercury because of the resemblance to the Roman god, but the design actually represents a powerful idea: intellectual freedom and independence. By 1931, the United States was going through one of the toughest economic periods in history, the Great Depression. Coin production was lower compared to many other years because demand for new coins had dropped. This lower mintage is one of the reasons why 1931 Mercury dimes attract attention from collectors today. The 1931 issue was struck in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Among these, the 1931D Denver and 1931S San Francisco are particularly interesting because of their lower mintages. These coins are not extremely rare in general circulation grades, but finding them in high-quality condition is much more difficult, which is where the real value begins to build. Every 1931 Mercury dime is made of 90% silver, which gives it intrinsic value regardless of condition. Even a heavily worn coin is worth more than its face value simply because of the silver content. This means that no matter what, the coin holds a baseline worth, making it more than just pocket change. However, The real difference between an ordinary coin and a valuable one lies in condition. A worn 1931 dime might be worth only a few dollars, but as the condition improves, the value can increase significantly. Coins with sharp details, minimal wear, and original shine can reach much higher price levels, especially when collectors are searching for premium examples. One of the most important features collectors look for is known as full bands. On the reverse side, the fasces design includes horizontal bands, and if those bands are fully separated and clearly visible, the coin is considered to have a strong strike. This small detail can dramatically increase the coin's value because it indicates exceptional quality. The 1931 Mercury dime is often highlighted because of its relatively low mintage compared to other years. While it's not a rare coin in lower grades, high-grade examples with full bands are much harder to find. These are the types of coins that collectors are willing to pay strong prices for. Now, about the idea of million-dollar value, it's important to be honest. A standard 1931 Mercury dime does not reach millions under normal conditions. Even the best-known examples typically sell for hundreds or thousands of dollars, and in exceptional cases, possibly tens of thousands. The million-dollar coin idea usually comes from confusion with extremely rare coins from other categories. Still, that doesn't mean the coin isn't powerful. Finding a high-grade 1931 Mercury dime can still be a very exciting and rewarding discovery. For many collectors, the thrill of finding a rare or high-quality coin is just as valuable as the money it can bring. Grading plays a crucial role in determining value. Professional grading services assign a score from 1 to 70, and coins graded in mint state, especially MS-65 and above, are considered high quality. Even a small improvement in grade can lead to a big increase in value, which is why preservation is so important. The historical connection of this coin also adds to its appeal. A 1931 Mercury dime comes from a time when people were facing economic hardship, and holding one today is like holding a small piece of that story. This historical depth makes the coin more than just a collectible. It becomes a symbol of survival and resilience. The market for coins is always changing. Values rise and fall, depending on collector interest, availability, and trends. A coin that is highly sought after today might become even more valuable in the future, especially if high-quality examples become harder to find. It's also very important to be careful when selling such coins. Many people unknowingly sell valuable coins for low prices because they don't fully understand their worth. If you ever find a 1931 Mercury dime that looks unusually clean or detailed, it's always wise to have it evaluated before making any decision. In the end, the 1931 Mercury dime is a fascinating coin that combines history, silver value, and collector interest. It may not turn you into a billionaire overnight, but under the right conditions, it can still be worth far more than expected. And sometimes, the real treasure is not just the money, it's the story and the excitement that come with discovering something truly special. Fifth up, the 1925 Mercury dime is one of those coins that carries a strange kind of energy, small in size, yet powerful enough to spark dreams of hidden treasure. At first glance, it looks like just another silver coin from the early 20th century, but when collectors study it closely, they realize it belongs to a much bigger story. A story of design, history, survival, and the hope that something ordinary might secretly be extraordinary. This coin is part of the Mercury dime series, officially called the Winged Liberty Head dime. It was designed by Adolph A. Weinman, one of the most talented artists in American coin history. The front of the coin shows Liberty wearing a winged cap, symbolizing freedom of thought. Over time, people began calling it Mercury, thinking it resembled the Roman messenger god, but the true meaning is far deeper. It represents liberty, intelligence, and the spirit of a free nation. The year 1925 sits in a fascinating period of American history. The country was in the middle of the Roaring Twenties, a time of rapid economic growth, cultural change, and industrial expansion. Coins from this era were produced in large numbers, but not all of them survived in high quality. That is where the real story of value begins, not just in age, but in preservation. The 1925 Mercury dime was minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each mint produced different quantities, and each version carries its own level of rarity today. While millions were made in total, the number of coins surviving in excellent condition is much smaller. Time, circulation, and wear have naturally removed most high-quality examples from market. Every 1925 dime contains 90% silver, which gives it an automatic base value. Even if the coin is heavily worn, it still holds worth because of its metal content. This is why silver coins never truly become worthless. They always carry a hidden value tied to the global price of silver, no matter how damaged they are. But the real excitement begins when condition is taken into account. A heavily circulated 1925 Mercury dime might only be worth a few dollars, but as the condition improves, the value can rise significantly. Sharp details, clean surfaces, and original luster are what collectors look for when deciding how special a coin really is. One of the most important features in this series is something collectors call full bands. On the reverse side of the coin, there is a bundle of rods tied together, and if the horizontal bands are fully visible and sharply separated, the coin is considered highly desirable. This small detail can turn an ordinary coin into a premium collectible. The 1925D and 1925S versions are especially interesting because they had lower mintages compared to Philadelphia. While not extremely rare in lower grades, finding them in high-grade condition with strong detail is much more difficult. That difficulty is what drives collector demand and increases value over time. Now comes the part that many people misunderstand, the idea of million-dollar value. A standard 1925 Mercury dime, even in excellent condition, does not normally reach millions in real-world markets. The idea of extreme millionaire-level value usually comes from confusion, exaggeration, or mixing it up with ultra-rare coins from completely different categories. However, that does not mean the coin is unimportant or low value. In the right condition, a 1925 Mercury dime can still be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Exceptional examples with top grading and strong features can command serious attention from collectors who specialize in early American coinage. Grading is one of the most important factors in determining value. Professional grading services evaluate coins on a scale from 1 to 70. A coin in mint state condition, especially MS-65 or higher, is considered high quality and can bring significantly higher prices. Even a small difference in grade can completely change the market value. Another reason collectors value the 1925 Mercury dime is its connection to history. It represents a time when the United States was experiencing growth and transformation long before modern digital life. Holding this coin today is like holding a small frozen moment from a completely different world. The coin market itself is always changing. Prices rise and fall depending on demand, collector interest, and availability. Sometimes a coin becomes popular and its value increases quickly. Other times, the market slows down. This constant movement is what makes coin collecting both exciting and unpredictable. It is also important to understand that many people unknowingly underestimate their coins. A 1925 Mercury dime sitting in an old box or collection might look ordinary, but in certain conditions, it could be far more valuable than expected. That is why knowledge and careful inspection matter so much. In the end, the 1925 Mercury dime is not a magical ticket to instant billions, but it is a remarkable piece of American history with real collectible value. Its worth depends on condition, rarity, and demand, not hype. And sometimes, the real treasure is not just the price it can bring, but the story it carries through time, quietly resting in the palm of your hand.